Greetings, Inquisitors. Welcome to the Holocron. This is the week 132 update for the Darth Loquitur account. I update this account's progress every week, go through all the characters, ships, upgrades that I'm doing to the account so that you all can follow along. Please remember as we get started, use that like button, use your like saber, get that thing out of here. Helps me, it helps the channel, and I would appreciate if you could do it. Alright, so this was the double drop week, so I'm a week late getting this issued out, but just to be clear, this was the week of the double drops. We got a lot of progress. Here we're going to take Old Ben up to Relic 5. Old Ben is part of the team that I'm putting together with Jedi Knight Luke, and the idea is specifically to be able to take out teams like Galactic Legend, Rey, and SLKR with this team. I'm also building a Mandalorian team to work in the Krayt Raid. I also want to build a Fennec Shand team to handle Lord Vader in Grand Arena. And the Mandalorian is part of both of those teams, so here we take him to Relic 5, just working the plan that we've made. So we've still got a pretty good chunk of signal data left, even after relicing 2 characters, so that's pretty nice. But we get both of those guys to a Relic 5. Got some good progress on Maul as well. Alright, so here's the Beskar Armor Mandalorian. Of course, we built him as part of the Executor fleet. I put him at lower relics for fleet speed, but it's not really as relevant anymore as it used to be. I do have the profundity, and I prefer to use that in Fleet Arena, so I'm not so worried about the speed of my Razor Crest anymore. So I go ahead and take him up to Relic 5 as well, just so I can use Datacrons in Grand Arena with him, and of course, use him in the Mandalorian team. Here's Old Ben. We're going to take a look at his Zetas. In the end, I decide that I don't really need those Zetas for the counter. I don't think they're a critical part of it. They're nice to have, but I just don't think they're that I have to have them. So here I make the team. I work on Jedi Knight Luke's mods, and we had him going really slow, playing around with a team that used his leadership to slow other teams down. But now that we've got the Jedi Knight Luke team in with the Jedi Knight Revan team and making that Galactic Legend counter, we've got to take a look at speeding him up quite a lot. There is a moment in the first round of that counter where you want Jedi Knight Luke to get a turn from Revan, and when you pass the turn over to him, they trade turn meter. So you want him to be fast enough that Revan's going to get a turn again within the right speed range. So you got to put some pretty good speed mods. Here you see I got 27, 20, 22, 25. And the arrow is actually an offense arrow with speed substats, which is pretty nice. So here we try to get more speed. But in the end, I got 90,000 health, 87,000 protection, 253 speed, which is really fast for Luke with an offense set. And then 12,538 offense. Not hard to get when you got Relic 8, but certainly that offense arrow with a bunch of speed stats really helps boost up that offense. It's a nice chunk. Jedi Knight Revan, we're just trying to go through here and sort out if we can get him just hitting a little bit harder, a little bit faster, the kinds of things you always want from your Revan. For Old Ben, we're going with more potency mods. We're trying to make him a little bit tanky with the main stats, but overall what we want is some speed and a lot of potency. Here you see we got him to 110% potency. His job in that first round, in the first cycle with the rest of the team, is to put ability blocks on everybody and force them to use basic attacks. So having a high potency is needed to get ability blocks on everybody. Bastila Shan, pretty much the same thing. We're going to want an ability block with her. We want her to go fast enough that she can trade turns with people and call assists from Jedi Knight Luke and things like that. So we do need a good chunk of speed on her, and we swap out some mods here and get her to 283 speed in total. Her durability is okay. She's not the most durable one, but she should be able to soak the sweep from SLKR and stuff like that and still live through it. I was going to drop down and try this team against some SLKR teams, but in the end, they were so far down in my squad arena that I'd have to lose like 200 places to get there, and I didn't really want to do that and then have to climb back up. So I come in here against this Galactic Challenge, which happened to be First Order, and just tried it out. And man, I ran circles around that team. I stunned them. I killed all those guys, and it felt really strong, really smooth. We'll, of course, see what happens against a real opponent with SLKR, but it seemed like the team came together like it was supposed to. So it's a good starting point anyway. All right, here we've got Aura Singh. We take her up a gear tier. Here we've got Lando, Skiff Lando. We're going to go ahead and apply gear pieces to him at gear 10, get him ready for gear 11. Here we're going to invest another gear tier in Bush Leia. And then we're just out of stun guns and Carbantes, which, you know, I'm always out of stun guns and Carbantes. That's kind of the limiting factor for the account, so no surprises there at all. Here we're going to make a couple upgrades in ships just to things that got a star, but in general, not a whole lot that I want to do in ships this week, so we're going to go ahead and get out of there. We're going to take a look at Maul. I do want this Zeta, so I go ahead and put that Zeta on him. Then I'm going to commit all 4 Zetas to gas. So we got gas to gear 12. He's a relic target soon. As soon as we get Maul done, we'll relic gas. So I figure the time has come to invest those Zetas. Now, during the double drop week, I did farm a lot of Chirotech off of node 7B. These Mark V data pads come off of 7B to convert to bronzium wiring. So I thought, man, I'm going to cash in like 300 bronzium wirings, but 155 is what I got. So it's kind of wish that had been more. I thought it was going to be more. I was kind of disappointed with the result. But I did not only the 50 cost refreshes, but I did the 100 cost refreshes to try to push my progress. So it and still only got 155 bronzium wirings out of it. Anyway, week 132, we're up to 6.25 million. We added 90,000. 72 relics now, 93 Zetas. We added 5 in 1 week with the Maul Zeta plus 4 on gas. 11 Omicrons. JMK still can get in the top 10. Profundity can still get in the top 5. Kyber 4 in Grand Arena. Maul is the target for next week. The farming plan is the same. We're working on 000 and BT1 for Afra someday. Switched over to Bastila Fallen and Juhani, trying to chase that Darth Revan that we might need now with the Sith fleet. If it is as good as they say, we'll have to be prepared to get that after the Jabba farm. Inquisitors have kind of fallen off into the background. I'll just do the Inquisitor nodes on the hard node day and on dark and light energy days for the guild objective. In fleet energy, still farming the TIE Defender, Sith Fighter. In the Cantina, signal data, we've started Canderous Ordo. Figured out pretty quickly that we're going to need Canderous for that Mando team in the Krayt Raid, as well as just to make the Mando team itself in Grand Arena more dangerous. It seems like Canderous is too big of a part of that team for me to skip him, so we will have to bring him up and potentially relic him somewhere later during the Jabba journey. Mod energy, same plans, 5 per day on mods, and slicing twice a week. There wasn't a mod update this week because during double drops, the slicing materials were doubled and the mod farming wasn't. So, of course, I just farmed everything that was double dropped and stocked up a bunch on my slicing materials. That was actually the plan anyway, so we got that. We'll go back to the regular plan again next week. Same strategy for refreshes. Remember the 2023 plan for this account. We want to finish that Jedi Knight Luke team, which as of this week is done. And I put in parentheses, I think it's done. I think we've got all the characters. I think we've got all the modding. It wouldn't surprise me to find out that we have to relic something differently or do something differently. I'm going to have to look closely at Jedi Knight Revan because in the SLKR counter, you kind of rely on SLKR killing Jedi Knight Revan in one shot with the first stab. That triggers Savior and gives Revan an instant turn, and he can pass a turn to Jedi Knight Luke and start the cycle. But if you want to do better in the Krayt Raid, you may need to take Jedi Knight Revan to higher relics. If I take him to higher relics, he may not get killed in that first stab, and then he's just going to be sitting there stunned. So I don't know. I'm going to have to look at Jedi Knight Revan, and so that's why I put in parentheses, I think, because I think it's done, but I also think I want to take Jedi Knight Revan to Relic 8. I may have to find a way to do that while keeping him at a low enough health and protection total that he still dies to SLKR, which is weird to say, but it is part of how that counter works, and I'm not entirely sure how the counter is going to work if he stays alive. So some thinking to be done over there, but if I can make it work, then I will take him to Relic 8. Mandos for the raid, Gas, then Fennec Lord Vader counter, and then we'll get back into that Jabba journey. Like I said, I may still have to fit Canderous in there somewhere for that Mando team. Then there's other stuff that I want to do after, before, during, whatever. So after Jabba, Sanastaros, Sana, whatever you call her, Afra, maybe Jedi Master Luke someday, Starkiller, maybe a new Galactic Legend. So everything after Jabba is just kind of a question mark. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to farm the Afra requirements and just be ready for it, and then I'll figure out what I'm actually going to relic by the time I get the Jabba journey done. So nice progress during the double drop week. We got 2 relics, good progress on a third. That was nice. 100 cost refreshes on those Cairo nodes. And again, if you do the 100 cost refreshes during double drops, it's the same efficiency as a normal 50 refresh, right? Because you're paying 100, you're paying double, and you're getting double. But what it does is every time you do those refreshes, you basically get 2 days worth of farming for 1 day worth of refreshes, if that makes sense. So during the event days when I spent the hundreds, so there was 8 extra days worth of progress over those 4 days. So an extra week worth of Cairo farming, more or less. But so I spent those refreshes just to get more Cairo. But it wasn't as impressive as I thought. I somehow thought I was going to come out of the week with just a ton of Cairo, and I suppose it was wishful thinking. But yeah. So anyway, but I did the best I could. So with the economy, what I started to write last week, and just to be clear, I was doing this account review, putting it together last week, and I reached a stopping point, and then I just stopped doing the review, and I started focusing on an analysis of the new raid stuff. So I'll show you kind of how all that came together here, just for fun, for people who might like to know the story. So I said, well, the lack of credits coming into this new Krayt Raid system was significant. I didn't realize right away that there were credits on rotation into the shop. So I didn't make those credit purchases that first week, and I noticed the lack of credits right away. I also noticed the lack of the guild activity currency, but I didn't think it was that big of an issue because I felt like I would just be buying those gear pieces with the tier 1 currency, the token one anyway. So I thought, it's fine. It's going to balance out. And overall, the loss of currency or whatever we've got here is going to require some recalibration on gear pieces. So then I sort of stated my recommitment to the Krayt Raid, that I was going to keep working on the Mando team even if the guild switched to the Sith Raid, which they did. I mean, we did one raid and we saw how it went, and it was like, well, we're better off doing the Sith Raid. So we switched to that and then said, let's see what happens in the next few weeks and see if there's some changes, and then we'll make a decision. At that time, there was a really big gap between that 23 million box and the 73 million participation that you needed to get to kind of, even get those rewards under control. So at that time I said, okay, I'm still going to finish Maul Mandos and I'm still going to go for Jabba. I'm not going to change the plan. And then after the Mando team, Relic Gas, and then do the Fennec team, then work into Jabba. And by then, hopefully, more people in the guild would have also built for Krayt Raid. So that was my initial thought. And then I said, here in the next slides, this is where I kind of came to a stopping point, right? So I said, when the C-Pit team came out, there were a lot of guilds that couldn't get it done, right? It was the point where JMK was being farmed up by a lot of people, but he wasn't done. So as people started to finish up JMKs, the phase 1 of that became easier, the phase 4 became easier, and guilds pretty quickly over the course of a couple months, they started locking in the C-Pit, and then, more and more guilds figured it out and got to do the same. So it didn't surprise me at all that the Krayt Raid came out as a huge challenge, with basically the game designers saying, okay, everybody's going to start out relatively weak in this, but we expect you to be able to build your way into good progress. So that didn't surprise me too much. And then I got to this slide and I said, if they don't adjust the system, there's going to be a choice for most of us. We're either going to have to chase the raid or find other ways to secure the income. And then the next bullet points on this slide needed to be something like, quantifying the loss, right? Because everybody felt like it was a loss. But I started thinking about it as I made this slide, and I thought, I don't know if I agree, if I don't do the math myself, if I don't have my own outlook on it, I'm taking somebody else's word for it that we're losing currency. So I kind of started to feel more and more uncomfortable with my next few bullet points. And I said, look, I need to know how much we've lost to quantify it, and I need to make some statement about what changes were needed to the Krayt Raid. So instead of doing this update, I just abandoned the whole thing. I did the video on the raid loot follow-up, and then just ran out of time to do this video last week. So we're getting it out now. But just as a follow-up to that, I also have come to some initial conclusions on the new system, what purchases are efficient, so I'll share those with you all very soon. I won't know like the optimized, most efficient way to do it at first here. I'm gonna some initial things are clear to me, but then the next level of detail I still have to sort through. It'll take some time for me to figure out, but I'll do some initial conclusions here pretty quickly, so we'll get to that. All right, so that wraps up what happened in week 132. Exciting times, big shakeups, people angry with the company, lots of people quitting the game. As usual, something changes, and the community reacts in the similar way that they have in the past. But hopefully the members of my Discord, my channel, people who pay attention over here, kept a level head about the whole thing, and we came out okay in the end as far as the rate adjustments, so I think we're in good shape. I always like to hear you guys' comments down below if you got anything to say about this outlook, about the holocron itself, about progress in the account, things I should or shouldn't be doing, or that you don't agree with. Always love to hear that stuff from you guys, so post your comments down below and we'll have a conversation about it. You can also join us on Discord. The link is in the holocron description of the holocron. Just click on that, join the Discord. We've got a lot of cool people in the Discord, a lot of experienced players, a lot of guys who have been doing efficient account building for a long time that are willing to answer questions and help newer people. We've got a bunch of new people asking questions that is probably on any new player's mind. So as we answer those things, all you have to do is hang out and read what other people are talking about, and you will learn a lot about the game. So hope to see you over there, be part of the community, be an Inquisitor. And that's it. That's going to wrap it up. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you in the next holocron.